Welcome to the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show. I'm Chris Emma alongside my Odyssey Sports colleagues Jordan Cohn and Jesse Pantusto. It's week 3 of the season and we're ready to go with our waiver wire pickups, our stream team, and our stealthy starts. I'm going to start us off with my waiver wire pickup, and it's AJ Green of the Arizona Cardinals. Now look, I know he's not the AJ Green of the past. He's not going to be that dominant all-pro type player, but he's going to get volume within that Arizona offense. He's got 12 targets in his first 2 games in that Cardinal system, and clearly they're going to be getting him the football. He's only got 5 catches and a touchdown so far, which is respectable, of course, but I think it's going to increase. I think the volume is going to stay consistent, and I think he's going to be productive as this season goes forward. As long as he stays healthy, the production is going to be there. Jordan, who is your waiver wire pickup?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that Cardinals offense plays out because Rondale Moore emerged this week too with some big plays. So yeah, there's a lot of good mouths there. I like that pick. I'm going to go with another old soul. I'm going to do Cordarrelle Patterson of the Atlanta Falcons. He's definitely moved around a little bit the past few years, but he really looks to have come into his own early in this Atlanta offense. I was never really sold on Mike Davis being that standalone lead running back leading the charge, even though he did fill in admirably for Christian McCaffrey last year with the Panthers. But I saw it in week 1 when Patterson was playing against my Eagles, and he just looked way more dynamic and more explosive than Mike Davis, and that continued into week 2. The fact that he's a good receiving option gives him even more juice in PPR formats, but his role in the offense is a pretty good one, and the offense isn't that deep around him, so I think he should be good to go in any format.
That's a great pickup. Jesse, who are you looking for on the waiver wires this week?
Well, Chris, seeing as you're the Bears reporter, I'm a little surprised you didn't go with Justin Fields, potentially replacing Andy Dalton this week. That would have been a fun one. But anyway, I'm going to go with Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys. So after playing second fiddle to Ezekiel Elliott the past 2 years, Pollard's long-awaited breakout looks to be finally here. Through 2 games, Pollard has outgained Elliott by 47 yards, despite logging 8 fewer touches during that span. Now in his 6th season, it's fair to wonder if Elliott's best days are behind him. There's a lot of tread on those tires. He's averaged 331 touches a year since Dallas drafted him, and Zeke just isn't passing the eye test right now. Elliott has topped 100 yards rushing only once since the start of last year, and isn't running with nearly the same burst or explosiveness he showed early in his Cowboys tenure. He's also been a liability in pass blocking, holding PFF's 4th worst grade among qualified running backs so far. Pollard has always been a valuable handcuff for Zeke owners, but with Dallas now employing a hot hand approach at running back, this might be the year he finally carves out a standalone fantasy role. With Pollard still available in over 60% of ESPN leagues, now's the time to pounce.
I like that one. That's a great pickup. Let's go to our stream team now. And Jordan, you have our quarterback this week. Who is your quarterback?
I'm going to go with Derek Carr of the Raiders. I don't really want to overthink this one. He's been a top 10 fantasy quarterback through 2 weeks so far, and those 2 matchups have come against the stingy defenses of the Ravens and the Steelers. So you could go with a guy who, so-and-so has a matchup against the Bengals or this poor secondary. But Carr has been doing the job and doing it well against 2 good defenses so far. He has the Dolphins in week 3, which again isn't the greatest matchup, but he seems to be relatively matchup-proof so far in this year's Raiders offense. And, he has some easier matchups up ahead. I know he has the Eagles and the Giants coming up, which is always nice for fantasy purposes. So yeah, I like Derek Carr, and maybe you won't have to stream if you pick him up this week and let him keep doing his thing going forward.
That's a great pickup. We know that John Gruden has a big season ahead, and we know he has a lot of trust in Derek Carr. I have our tight end for the stream team this week, and I'm going to go with Jared Cook of the Los Angeles Chargers. 8 catches on 13 targets this season. Talk about volume. Justin Herbert's going to get that football out. 43% of the leagues in which he's owned in Yahoo leagues, and he's going to get his opportunities. So that's somebody I'm keeping an eye on this week. Jesse, you have our stream team defense. Who are you on this week?
Well, it is extremely slim pickings for us on defense this week. But because of their matchup with Jacksonville, I think the Cardinals should at least warrant streaming consideration. The Cardinals weren't anything special in week 2, permitting 33 points and over 400 yards in a slugfest with Minnesota. But they trounced Tennessee in week 1, collecting 3 takeaways while holding Derrick Henry to his fewest rushing yards since week 5 of last year. Chandler Jones set a franchise record with 5 sacks in that game, and though the Vikings were able to keep him in check, my former Syracuse classmate, little humble brag there, should have no trouble manhandling a Jaguars offensive line that allowed the league's 7th most sacks in 2020. Whether it's been poor coaching, a weak supporting cast, or the usual rookie growing pains, top draft pick Trevor Lawrence has been a disaster in the early going, committing 5 turnovers in his first 2 games. We can probably discard the Cardinals after this week. They have a tough road matchup at Los Angeles in week 4, but against a Jaguars team circling the drain, they're a no-brainer.
That's a good one. Let's wrap it up with our stealthy starts. And I'm going to go with a wide receiver out of New York. It is Kenny Golladay. And I know there's been a lot of attention so far on Sterling Shepard and what he's done in that New York offense. And they have some playmakers around Danny Dimes. Kenny Golladay was paid a lot of money to be that top target. They had their friction last Thursday night in a primetime broadcast. A lot of wonders as to what's going to happen between those two. I think Kenny Golladay is going to see the ball a lot. I was stunned to see this, boys. He's starting in 18% of Yahoo leagues right now. He should be starting in more. I think his volume is going to continue to pick up. Kenny Golladay is somebody I would be starting this week. Jordan, who are you looking to start this week?
I was eyeballing Golladay myself for this week, so that's a good pick there. I'm going to go with another wide receiver, Mike Williams of the Chargers. He gets the Chiefs, and you know that there's very high potential for a shootout in a Chargers-Chiefs matchup. And I also don't think that Williams is going to be a stealthy, quote-unquote, start for too much longer. He's the wide receiver 5 in half PPR format so far this year. He's had double-digit targets in both of those matchups. He's obviously going to be heavily involved if the Chargers want any chance to compete with the Chiefs throughout that contest. Hollywood Brown just played against the Chiefs, and he had 113 yards and a touchdown this Sunday night. Williams, with his big play capabilities, could easily do something similar alongside Keenan Allen on the outside. So yeah, Mike Williams, stealthy start, and I think he's going to be a more regular starter going forward if he has another good game against the Chiefs in week 3.
I'm in agreement. That's a good one. Jesse, wrap us up. Who is your stealthy start this week?
Well, I don't know how stealthy this is. I mean, Courtland Sutton exploded for 159 yards on Sunday, but he should certainly be starting in more than the 28% of ESPN leagues he's currently in lineups for. Coming off ACL surgery, Sutton has largely flown under the radar this year, but let's not forget how dominant he was when he was healthy in 2019, totaling over 1,100 receiving yards that season. Sutton wasn't much of a factor in week 1, but with Jerry Jeudy out of the lineup against Jacksonville, he was unstoppable, nabbing a career-high 9 catches while commanding a robust 35% target share from Teddy Bridgewater. Sutton's 159-yard Sunday were the most by a Bronco since Emmanuel Sanders hung 162 on Kansas City in 2016. Returning home to face the Jets, who have been outscored by a combined 44-20 margin this year, Sutton should be poised for another monster fantasy week.
2 weeks down and a lot of football still ahead of us. Week 3 of the season. Enjoy the ball. For Jordan Cohen, Jesse Pantusco, I'm Chris Summa, and this is the Odyssey Sports Fantasy Football Show.